welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by TheLines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by Nate Weitzer. He's on the East Coast, and we are back together again as I'm back to life here, and we got playa props in this episode, the boys' specialties, if you will. Also have best bets with some sides and totals looks in the other episode, so definitely make sure to subscribe to that channel. Continue to follow along with us all season. Also head to the description of the video real quick. That's got everything you need, including that link to the newsletter that's now coming out every Friday to make sure that you're staying up to date on everything you need to know in the sports betting world, as well as that bonus parlay that Nate and myself are putting in there for you guys with some plus money bangers. Only throwing that into the newsletter, so definitely check that out every Friday if you want to get in on those W's. Let's go ahead and get right into your first player prop here. Nate got a nice big slate, and a big shout out to Nate for doing really well yesterday and holding it down while I was gone here for the past week or so.
Yeah, you bet. We got Zach Edey over 10.5 rebounds here, which started at minus 105, and obviously people are betting this, so minus 114, I believe, is the best price now. But he's just been a monster in the last three. The Grizz have unleashed him, and he has the second most rebound chances in the NBA in that span, 26 per game. Second only to Rudy Gobert, but he has a much higher rate of actually grabbing those because the rest of the team is garbage at rebounding, specifically his power forwards, Triple J and Aldama. So Grizz are like, you know what? Maybe we just put this big rook out here down the stretch and collect a bunch of misses, especially against a tanking team where he should be able to stay out there. He should be a decent matchup on Mark Will. I mean, he's over in 4 of his last 5, except for the one where against Boston where he couldn't play because Porzingis is drawing him away from the basket. They're going 5 out, like as we kind of predicted. That's going to be a dud for him. But otherwise, like monster rebound numbers since the All-Star break. If you just go per 36, he's at 14.4 boards. He's at 6.70 boards if he gets 36 minutes. And I mean, that's been a huge part of him averaging 16 his last 3 here. Charlotte's allowing the 7th most O-Rebs in their last 7. They're also allowing plenty of D-Rebs because they're shooting 44% and just absolute tanker. Like I said, they don't have that pick and roll maestro or even a pick and roll backup orienter, right? Like KJ Simpson is gonna run the offense, I suppose, if he's out there. So like, there's nobody to like expose Edey and pick and roll and get him off the floor. Like he should be just fine, and then he can just attack the glass on the other end against Mark Will, who frankly, like, he doesn't want to be here. So of course, like other centers are pounding the glass. 3+ O-Rebs for centers in 7 of the last 10 against the Hornets. 6+ chances, and Edey is grabbing a ton of these chances. He's actually grabbed 4 of 8.7 O-Reb chances while going over against the Dubs, Miami, and Detroit. So those are very competitive rebounding teams. Charlotte's actually been about league average because guys other than Mark Will are doing a good job rebounding. So, I mean, it just indicates that Memphis, the new coach, is gonna think like, let's keep Edey out there, control the glass, and get out of here with a win.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, actually, is that your numbers are correlated with Taylor Jenkins getting fired. I don't know. There's a couple of different pieces of scuttlebutt coming out of that story. I don't remember how much of it was tied to like Zach Edey playing or not playing. I think probably he lost the locker room to some guys is what it came down to, but new guys got Zach Edey out there like a lot, right? And then that's a big correlation here with his uptick. And then you're right, like I'm going to be looking at this throughout the rest of the season and then in the playoffs, depending on the matchup. Like if Edey is not a good matchup, I'm going to be going to Jaren Jackson Jr. rebounds. Look at what he did against the Celtics when Edey sat, right? Jaren Jackson had 15 boards against the Celtics, far and away the most that he's had over the course of like the second half of the season and pretty much the season as a whole. But when Edey is, eligible to play because he's not going to get run off the floor by a team like the Celtics, then yeah, this is a good matchup. Mark Will plays close to the basket, so I like Edey in this sense with a high number. Definitely prefer the Rebs though to the points. Let me go to that Dubs game against the Suns. Kind of hinted towards this in the best bets episode when you were talking about that game. That I like some player props that indicated the Dubs were going to win by a lot. So my pick here is Buddy Hield over 8.5 points. I'm going to take a little small alt line play up to 15 plus for him too. You can get that at plus 550 on Caesar. So like 0.2 units on plus 550 to win a little bit more than a unit back on Buddy to get 15 plus. I like. And here's why. he is kind of now the human victory cigar for this Dubs squad. He's become that even more so with Jimmy. He kind of already was that, but the numbers are a little bit skewed because what I'm looking at is the games where the Dubs win by at least 10 points. They're up to about a 10-point spread now as favorites over this Suns team, who they owe it to, because the Suns have kind of handled them this season, and this ain't the Suns team that handled them earlier, right? There's not going to be the same players out there, and that's why I do think that this is going to end up being pretty bad for them. I think the Dubs need this. I know the Dubs need this. They're locked up, with like three other squads: the Clippers, the Grizz, and the Timberwolves, all have the exact same record here in win percentage. Just the Dubs have a tiebreaker enough to keep them in sixth. They want to stay there, so they need this game. Phoenix is out; they're not going to make that 10 seed. Dallas is going to get it. They're 2 games back with 4 to play. No KD. Not sure why they would keep trying. Right? We've seen their rotations really be Devin Booker for the whole game, and then everybody else playing 20-ish, 25 minutes. Like even Bradley Beal isn't quite a staple in this rotation anymore after he scored 1 point the other night. But if you look at those games where they win by 10 plus, Buddy is at 14.2 points per game. If you trim that down to the games with Jimmy, with Steph, win by 10 plus points goes up to 15 points per game for him, and that's over in about 9 of 11 that they've won by that many points with Jimmy in town. And that actually makes sense to me. He's a little bit less prevalent in the rotation normally now that Jimmy is out there. Plus Pods is healthy, Kuminga's back, Moody has cemented himself as a starter because they're still undefeated with him in the starting lineup with Jimmy and all those guys, and Quentin Post, or excuse me, not Post, but Post coming off the bench, Draymond, Jimmy, Moody to help with the defense, and then Steph and Pods, and that lineup is filthy. So Buddy is now much more so coming in situations where they're up 20 in the third quarter, which is some of the stuff I'm expecting here, is like a 15-point lead maybe in the middle of the third, and now Buddy's in a few minutes earlier than he normally would be on his rotations when they're in the game, like with it's not a blowout either way, right? The last thing here is that Phoenix is just a different team, like I mentioned, than the last time that they played this team, and even much more so the first couple times they played this team. This was a Budenholzer defense to the core at the beginning of the season, up until January. Up until the 1st of January, they had the 5th lowest frequency of 3-point attempts against them off the catch and shoot, which is what we know Buddy wants to do, right? Buddy's all catch and shoot. Since then, they have the 10th most, since January started, the 10th most catch and shoot shots, or at least the highest frequency against them. Since the All-Star break, 4th most, right? The 4th highest frequency of catch and shoot threes coming up against them. So I think Buddy's good for a couple of threes. He probably is going to be good for 3 if he takes about 6 or 7 attempts, if he plays about 24 minutes. So I think you can project him here to up to about 24 minutes, 22 minutes in that range. That's what he's averaging when they win by 10 points. Once again, 10 plus points. So going to take the man who's become sort of the Peyton Pritchard of the Warriors and go over on Buddy Hield's points. Ooh, I'm mute.
Whoops. Yeah, and he's plus 155 at Bet365 to hit the 3 threes. And if you look at, when he gets like 20, 24 minutes, it's pretty consistent. He's hitting multiple threes. Books might think they're being clever by being like, oh, he hit 6 against Houston. Like we're gonna tempt you to get these 3 threes in there. But like you're saying, if you filter for the blowout and you consider the fact that the Suns are just abysmal right now guarding the 3-point line, doesn't seem like that's correctly priced. Like those are juicy odds that I think you got to put a little sprinkle on if you're going to take the points as well. So I'm going to go with another rook here. Bub Carrington, over 18.5 points and assists. Not as friendly of a price as Edie, but similar situation. I mean, in terms of just like let him loose. Not because the Wizards got a coach fired, but because it's just the end of the season and they want to see what they have in this kid. And he's like, the usage has been insane. 72 passes in his last 3 games. Like, that's not going to lead to a ton of potential assists because the Wizards are terrible. 11 potentials, though, 6.7 actual assists. But the touches, 93 touches, 31 more than anyone else on the team, has led to 22 points over 40 minutes per game. He's getting it himself on pull-ups and drives, which, you can get going against Indy. They do limit assists really well. So if you don't want to add the assists and you want to take the better price on 13.5 points, that could be a way to play this. But the Indy plays down to the competition is what you have to like consider separately to be like, they might limit assists overall, but they're coming off a big win against Denver, have several straight wins here, and looking ahead to closing with Cleveland, Orlando, Cleveland. So I don't think that they're going to be on their P's and Q's here defensively. They did give up 30 and 10 combined to the Jazz rookie guards. They gave up 54 paint points to the Hornets. Didn't cover there necessarily. Allow a lot of field goal attempts at the rim, 4th most in their last 10. And I mean, even in the 53-point beatdown 2 weeks ago for this team, Bub got 13-6. He was out there like he's blowout proof because that's all they're trying to do is get him the minutes. He's gone over in 5 of his last 6, over against Miami and Boston, who are very good defensively, despite shooting 33% in those games. So, I mean, it's just a volume play. Like we know, several guys are going to be out for the Wizards per usual, and that they're gonna run things through this rook. So, just take his volume stats.
Yeah. Yeah. You said several guys are out for the Wizards. Try like 2 basketball teams worth of guys are out for the Wizards. Yeah. And if you do look at those things, it just comes down to minutes, right? Like 38, 41, 39. I was looking at the same stuff as you without having talked to you about it first. So I love when we see the same stuff here, which is like, I don't know, man. It's Bub playing 40 minutes. Like I gotta go over. Indy, to your point, like either this game stays closer than we think, and Bub is a big part of that, or this game is a complete blowout, and then Bub is on the floor without Jordan Poole for a lot of the second half anyway, right? So not too worried. I think Poole will get a decent amount of minutes in this game, but that still doesn't worry me because it's not taking away from Bub. There's just nobody else to play. Like AJ Johnson is starting. So yeah, household name, AJ Johnson. But let me go ahead and close it out here with Wendell Carter Jr. in that maybe like the best game of the day, because we have 2 teams that are battling each other for playoff spots against each other in that Magic and Hawks game. So I'm taking Carter Jr. under, though, 10.5 points here. I think that's too high. And what I'm banking this on is like, I love these moments where I think the market is a little bit mistaken in how they view a guy like, or view a team like the Hawks right now, which is that they're awful, they're terrible down low, Onyeka Okongwu, for all the trash I've talked on him in various ways this season, is a very good one-on-one defender. And I think I need to acknowledge that here. And I'm going to do it in the form of fading Wendell Carter Jr.'s points in the last 15. And you could do this back to the last 20 games too, Nate, where Onyeka became the starter and started averaging 31 minutes per game over the course of the last roughly 20 or so. They are 6th best limiting points per game to the center, 8th best limiting threes, 10th best limiting free throw attempts to the center position here for this Hawks squad. Like, they're a legit team, man. I don't know if like they don't have their players either. Imagine if Jalen Johnson was available on this squad, like things would be a lot different. But if you look at the first couple games for Wendell, he was playing against Onyeka. That was his main matchup for most of those 2 games when the Magic and the Hawks faced this season. He went clean the under in those games, had 9 in one, 6 in the other, had 9 in the game where he played 30 minutes. I have him projected for about 27 tonight. I think high 20s is going to be what he plays in this game that they want and that they need. But I still don't care. Like if you look at him when he's on court with Fraulo, both Franz and Paolo at the same time, he's at 8.9 points per 28 minutes. That's more than he's averaging. When those guys have been around and he's in the starting lineup with them, he's averaging 26 minutes per game. I'm going to just give him the 28 because I'm just going to be extra conservative with my analysis here to see if I can still feel good about it. And even at 28 minutes, I have him at like 9.4 points. So it's a little bit of a squeeze here. It's a little bit tight in that like there's not a huge margin here, but I think this is a big enough edge for me where I'm projecting him for 9 and this is saying that he needs 11. Understandably, like with points, it can be a little bit scarier than a stat like rebounds or assists where you only get 1 per possession, obviously. But in this case, like he's not even taking the shot attempts when he plays with those guys, expecting a much bigger performance from a guy like Paolo, who has really high props for a good reason. They were too high for me to take, but he's the one that I'm projecting against a team that is awful now, the Hawks, awful against power forwards, which we've known for a while because Mo Gay is their starter. Love you, Mo Gay, but like it's you and Bang Bang Niang coming in at the 4. I'm going to take the Paolo matchup in those situations, not the Wendell Carter versus maybe the best defender on the Hawks outside of Dyson Daniels and Onyeka Okongwu.
Yeah, can they put Dyson Daniels on Franz? Is he big enough for that? I mean, yeah. Otherwise, the Hawks are going to have no answers for Fraulo. So that's really the cap here is like just saying Fraulo's going to eat his barbecue chicken. So Wendell Carter just get in the corner and maybe he'll get a couple touches. Like he only has a 15% usage rate this season when Franz is active. And like you said, project him for 9 because that's what he averages, whether these guys are in or out. So, no reason to uptick it just because it's the Hawks. Because, like you said, that's one of their few strong points is Okongwu defensively.
Yep, 100%. Really, really good above the break too for Okongwu. That's a big reason why assists aren't coming for opposing centers and threes aren't coming from opposing centers. And if Wendell can't really use his versatility to score on guys where he's stepping out to the 3-point line to be faster and more versatile than them, then he doesn't really have an advantage down low. I'll say that. So that's all the time we have for you though in Play At Props. Definitely make sure to go ahead and check out the best bets we have with some sides and totals. Subscribe to that channel so you don't miss any of the action moving forward, especially as we get into these playoffs here next week. Until we see you next. Happy betting.